What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interviews YouTube channel for an in-person interview with the one and only Diego Luna. Congratulations, CCA nominee.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that.
I am very happy too. Very excited.
Congratulations, well-deserved, and congratulations on the show overall. I was just telling you this before we started rolling, but oh my, you guys have created something very special here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a journey. It's been a beautiful journey, very intense, and we've been learning on the way, because we are dealing with a format that is different from everything else I've done before. 12 episodes. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of story. It's so many characters. The production is huge. And I mean, just of shooting, right now we're shooting the second season, and it's my life till August, of shooting, just shooting. Then the whole post-production process starts. So it's quite a journey.
That shooting will be mixed with some season 1 celebrating. You have quite the next couple of weeks and months ahead of you. I'm very excited about that. Also, just randomly bringing up the amount of story that this covers, I think that was one of the most impressive elements of the show to me, was that you had so many key characters in the mix. I feel like it isn't as likely that they come together as well as they do, and those narratives wind up crossing over with a great purpose like they do in this show. So that was probably one of the most impressive things.
Yeah, it's Tony Gilroy. His vision is just, he's so ambitious, and he takes so much time, and he delivers, and every character has a meaning, has a reason, has a journey, and he pays attention to all the detail. There's no characters there just because we need to trigger something. There's an important reason. We are talking about the journey of someone that decides to give everything for the cause. What has to happen in the life of someone, and what events he has to witness, what people he has to meet. He has answered all those questions, Tony, and I just feel really proud to be part of such a rich show. We have 12 episodes of 40-something minutes, and I don't think we wasted any time, basically.
Not a single second. Very ambitious, and I am so impressed by how well you pulled it off. Going back to the beginning briefly on this, so I know it was really important to you to reveal the truth behind the Rogue One line. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. What would you say is the biggest difference, but also the biggest similarity in the backstory you built when delivering that line on Rogue One versus what it turned out to be in the show?
I think in terms of the context of the character, I was pretty much there, I think the story of Tony is something that connects easily with what I had in mind. But it's more about the characters he meets in the journey, where I was impressed by what Tony wanted to tell. The characters he meets, Luthen, Kino, the relation with Marva, that is something so central in the understanding of Cassian, and for me it wasn't like that when I was getting ready for Rogue One. I had to create my own backstory, a backstory that no one cared about. It was just mine. I mean, in terms of I didn't have to get there with any other actor. My character was coming from somewhere else, he has this accent that no one shares, and he clearly has left everything behind. Therefore, it was just the work you do as an actor, right? That you have to understand why you're making the choices you're making, and create yourself some background story. But with Tony, it was so interesting to find out all these role models that Cassian has, and the amount of sacrifice around the rebellion, it's quite interesting to see so many characters willing to leave everything behind for a reason they believe in. It's a beautiful story that reminds us what we are capable of, basically. and it's through these characters that I was like, oh my god, this is so rich and so pertinent and so real. Even though we are in this galaxy far, far away, these characters could, they feel really close to the world you and I live in.
They also feel very full. That was another thing that I was very impressed by. You have all these characters around him, and whether they get many episodes of screen time or even are just in a single episode, there's something about every single performance in this show that makes everybody feel like a living, breathing person who had a significant amount of history, even though we're not exposed to all that history in the actual script.
Yeah, well, it's exactly that. I mean, there's a lot we don't tell you here, but we need you to feel it, we need you to understand it just by witnessing a moment of real behavior, there was a constant reminder, things have to be real. We have to forget that we're in a galaxy far, far away. This has to be happening, and the work was done not just by the amazing cast that is in the show, but also by the production design and the costumes and the makeups and everything had to be grounded, and we all needed to know the story behind. This is something we spend a lot of time doing, having so many conversations before getting on set, asking all the questions you had to ask, because the moment on set you had to you had to know what you're doing there, why you're there, why you're wearing this, what is the purpose of a room like this, why is this microphone and not another one, that kind of thing. And so we all built this world and these characters in a teamwork, where directors got behind also these decisions. Sometimes there's a feeling when you are doing science fiction that you can get away with things, that who cares? The character happens to be here. In this process, that wasn't the case, In this process, if you didn't have an answer, you were not doing your job, And that applied for everyone on set, not just actors. So we all had an opportunity to interact with Tony and the directors and the production designer, and we had the chance to chat and to ask what needed to be asked, and I think you can tell that everyone knows what they're doing in this show. There's not a single moment where you go like, well, that person, he happened to be there, and the jacket happened to fit him. That wasn't the case here. Everyone went through a process of casting. It was very rigorous. We saw people 2-3 times before they even got the jobs, and all that work. I think it's there. It's behind the series.
What is an example of a seemingly small detail that you had to know the answer behind or the reasoning behind that viewers might not expect you to have had to look into to that extent?
There is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to tell you one specific thing, but what I'll tell you, something I do and I like doing is going to sets before we're shooting, right? So you arrive to a place where you're supposed to interact with this office or this set, as if you had done hundreds of interviews here. Therefore, you can not arrive in the morning and find out where you're going to be sitting down. So I would go the day before, at least, if not weeks before, to interact with the staff, to find out what's going to be behind me and why. What is the reason for for this watch to be like a Dali painting?
I can explain none of this to you, but they worked very hard, and I'm grateful we get to be here.
I don't know. Like, I wanted to understand everything, and I would ask the questions, and I would have these sessions with Luke, our production designer, on set, to be introduced to my house, or to be introduced to the little, where he sleeps, he has the Starpath unit in a shelf in the how do you shit sorry my English is not it's not in the best shape now. Anyway, there's a shelf where I bring the Starpath unit out of, and we came up with the idea of hitting it twice and then the thing opens by itself. That's not written, you arrive with a production designer, you go like, what's a cool way to open it in a way no one else would know it's possible? Let's do it this way. And we came up with that little thing, and it's something very specific and thin. It's a layer that's there of authenticity, and which it would have been very simple to arrive and open the shelf, bring the thing out. But no, we came out with a little trick that Cassian knows and does, and that way you understand things are safe if they're there, Stuff like that. It was stuff we were doing every day, trying to find and more layers to enrich the scenes we had.
Those types of little details is what makes a person feel real and whole. It's making me think, I was just talking to Guillermo del Toro for his stop motion Pinocchio movie, and they purposely put in examples of, characters making mistakes, like not doing something fluidly, like tying your shoe in a way that isn't like pitch perfect the first time they did it. And that's part of the reason why they feel like living, breathing human beings, even though they're movie characters that we only spend 2 hours with.
In the relation, for example, with the droid, that is something also we were building, and I was thinking a lot about that first TV I had in my house. The image would go like small, and you had to hit it, and it would fill the screen again. These very old TVs. I mean, obviously people don't understand these days that there was something before the flat TVs that we used to see at home, but it was this gigantic TV for a tiny screen like this, and I remember hitting that thing 5-10 times a day, for the thing to actually work, and I love the idea that this was probably the most precious thing in my house, this very old black and white TV that I could have in my own room, and my relation was this: hitting the thing to let her know I needed her, right? Hitting the object so many times a day to make sure we could have we could communicate. So I said, like, let's bring. I mean, somehow that has to work with B2,
B2 needs some more respect. In season 2, I feel like
he's so respected and he's loved.
He needs like even more, like he just went through so much this season. It broke my heart.
But everyone in this family, everyone in this community, like these characters, oh my God. I mean, but it's what this show is great about. Like, at the end, you do understand why a revolution is needed, The life of these people, my God, what they go through on these 12 episodes, you understand why the need for change, right? But I got all serious now, and we're somewhere else. B2, I think B2 is in great hands, and everyone loves him, and I love the way the droid relates with the community and the town, Ferrex is his place, and you see him crossing the avenue in the morning, going from east to west. He's a special collaborator to work with, it's a big team behind B2, but it's all happening, it's all there, and it's beautiful. We worked really hard in making sure the sound was coming out of the droid, So even though you're interacting with an actual droid that is actually talking to you. There's a great actor just next door, but the sound comes out of the droid, And there's moments where you forget that there's 4 people working on making that thing be alive, Suddenly it's there, and you are interacting with a real thing, and you can have a personal connection It's a beautiful friendship, that one, you know. It's quite special. I think it's what, in a way, it's a little bit what we wish our dogs were, no? Like
that's why I'm partial to droids. I'm a big pet lover, so there's something about that kind of quality and loyalty that I've seen in certain droids in Star Wars that always get to my heart.
Cassian talks to B2 like you can talk to your dog. Imagine one day your dog answers back. That is the relation they have, you know, where it's but he behaves like a dog. He's always gonna do whatever Cassian says, you know, but he's gonna let him know he thinks it's wrong. That doesn't mean he will. I mean, he will question Cassian all the time, but he will do exactly what he's been told, and there is like a complexity in that relation that I love, you know, and even that is complex in our show, you know, even that could be just like a simple, lovely story to see. It's complex, and sometimes it's quite unfair with B2 and the poor droid debates on behaving or not, on doing what Cassian says or not.
There's just certain things that B wants that someone says, no, you can't do it or can't have it. And I'm like, just give the droid what it wants.
Yes. It's so expressive also in the design, you know, the design of the droid it's very smart because it's very simple, but it has a way to receive the information and be affected with a very simple kind of mechanics, you know, and very, very, very few movements say so much. Mm-hmm. It's quite a piece of design.
One of many elements of the show I'm very impressed by. I have a couple of very specific complex moments that I want to touch on here. I feel like everybody out there knows this at this point, but you should have watched Andor by now. Just in case you didn't, go watch it, push pause on this video, and then come back for the rest of the conversation, which will be loaded with spoilers. This is your one and only warning. All right. My first very specific question for you. When you're playing the moment where you're having the conversation with Skeen and he's revealing that he's willing to take the credits and run, what has to be going through Andor's mind to justify that split-second decision to shoot him on the spot?
It's interesting because I think I would say he just went through the first time of an actual teamwork, like in terms of trusting others with your life, you know. He goes through that with this team. And when he realizes he should have not trust this person, you know, how dangerous someone you can't trust can be when you're trying to put together or organize something in terms of what you can do as community, you know. Basically, everyone else is to be trusted there, and having one leak is, you know, is very dangerous. You know, he understands how much trust and how do you say? Because trust, I mean, I'm looking for the word in Spanish is confianza, which sounds a little more robust than trust. But I don't know. We'll have to look for the translation.
You're like trust, faith, confidence.
Faith is involved. Like you have to believe, in the person next to you, not just that you can trust them, but that they will deliver. Mm-hmm. You know? And he realizes that he's been next to someone that would not put his hand there for him, you know. And it's interesting why or how fast the character, you know, makes choices that are gonna define everything, you know. I mean, that's how the season starts, basically, with him finding out he has to kill this person, you know, and this is the second time that it happens, and it tells you that he's not afraid or scared of making a complicated choice like that. And he's taking care of the whole team. He's taking care of her. Where he's taking, he doesn't know. And I mean, we are spoiling things,
Spoilers are fair game right now.
He doesn't know Nemik is gone, and he's protecting them. He's feeling part of a team for the first time. So I think I took 5 minutes. And the answer is this last thing I just said. You can erase all the other crap I said, because it's basically, he's protecting a team for the first time, a team he's about to leave behind, right? But it's that hint of like, I'm part of something, and I have to protect them.
The way you describe it, it's like the perfect baby step in his evolution in terms of like losing faith in one member of the team, but without letting him lose faith in the team overall and the surviving members.
Yeah. And he, I like a lot about this character that it's enough with the, like he's someone capable of forgiving himself, which is something that makes people different. We all make mistakes, but if you give yourself a second chance, that says that you're someone special. This guy is like that. He's not gonna then go talk to someone, say like, look, Skeen was trying to do this. He makes the choice himself in a second, and he moves on. And he is like, the conversation with himself is open. He's honest to himself. I like that about this man. I don't know.
Getting into the next big set piece, I was wondering, does the name Keef have meaning to him? Because he takes the name Clem because it's his late father's name, but what about Keef in particular? Because that connection was making me think that there had to be meaning to that as well.
I let me think if I can answer that one. It took me a while to be able to pronounce that name. Keith Gergo. Nothing that can be, that you can connect with what you've seen so far.
Okay, I'll take that. Mm-hmm. Here's a theory type question for you. It's just something that I've been thinking about since watching episode 10.
Yeah.
Let's say Andor did not get pushed off the platform into the water after he was told that, oh my God, the name is escaping me now, Andy Serkis' character. Kino. After Kino tells him he can't swim, if Andor hadn't been pushed into the water there, do you think he would have made an effort to help him swim to safety?
Do you have any doubt? Like, my God, I've done terrible. My job is not done. Do you think he would have been like, oh, I'm so sorry, man.
I don't doubt Andor. I doubt the situation and how it all would have progressed in
terms. He would have tried everything.
Okay. I feel like my doubt's more in Kino. Like, he would have insisted on staying and like making sure everybody got off.
Kino would have to push him, to save him. We didn't shoot any alternative endings, but I already started thinking about so many. I think probably if he hadn't been pushed, Rogue One would have not been there. So,
that's the other thing that isn't a doubt in character, but that he at that point in the show has a better understanding of like the larger mission and what's at stake, and he might have had to just go to keep on going forward.
I'll tell you this. It's not, Kino doesn't find out he doesn't swim just before jumping, right? Kino doesn't say it because of a reason. I think these two know each other so well in that moment that Kino knows if Cassian would have known, he would change the plan and try to come up with another idea, but not jumping to the open waters. And I think Kino knows, and I think you should know. If you're saying you love the show and you've seen the whole show, you should know. I mean, by this moment, this guy is he's a team worker. You know, he commits not just to ideas but to people, and I think that's the big lesson he gets in prison. You know, that you're as strong as the connection with your team is. You know, that's where your strength is, in that capacity we have, you know, to think bigger than just ourselves. And I think I mean, the way Cassian could have grabbed the microphone and start giving the speech when he thinks Kino is not delivering, but he wants to see Kino deliver.
I love that beat.
You know, he wants to see Kino become that voice, and he takes him there. I think one thing that happens in that episode that is crucial for me is that Cassian understands he can be a leader. You know, he can change someone. He can help Kino transition to become that person. You know, and I don't think he would have accept that Kino had to be sacrificed, you know, for this to happen.
I think deep down I'm also just looking for an excuse for Andy Serkis to come back and for Kino to be alive and play a part in the mission going forward.
Well, I mean, if we are... did you see what happened to Kino?
Yes.
What?
That's a good way to phrase it. I should learn my lesson after years and years of covering. I'm a horror movie lover too, and the rule is if you don't see someone dead. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I didn't see what happened. You know, I just see Cassian is pushed and the camera goes with them. So I wonder what happened.
I like the point you raise here. Mm-hmm. You just bring up the fact that in that moment, Cassian realizes he can be a leader, and he evolves quite a bit over the course of season 1. I know you're shooting season 2, so it's a tricky thing to answer, but what is a new asset that Andor gains in season 1 that you're eager for audiences to see him use in season 2, but also what is the next weakness on his list that he needs to overcome to be the leader that he ultimately needs to be?
Weaknesses you get to see even in Rogue One. It's that road never ends.
No one's perfect, ever.
You never reach that. You don't get there, you know. But I think what happens also after prison and in the next episodes is that he understands really what he's fighting against. You know, he understands the need of a revolution because he understands what oppression means. You know, basically, and how little freedom he has. And how unfair the world he lives in is. So, but there's still so much for him to learn, you know, in terms of working as a team, you know, working. How do you say? He's so. I mean, I think in the first season we see him trying to survive, and which is not necessarily being part of something, you know. It's reacting to it. But now, yeah, he has to learn a lot from Luthen and from others, from other experiences, other events, in order to be that person we meet in Rogue One. You know, the responsibility he takes on at the beginning of Rogue One is huge. Imagine what has to happen for someone to say he's the right person to do it. You know, Cassian Andor should be the it's gonna be the person we're gonna trust with this. There's a lot for him to to discover and a big transformation to come. He's really far from that. The one of episode 12, it's so far from that, but the spark is there. There's an awakening, and it has happened. Now we need to witness 4 years of the life of this man.
I'll end with this question that builds on that. Can you maybe tease or somewhat explain why it felt best to have season 1 of the show focus on 1 year through 12 episodes, but then have season 2 cover years 2, 3, 4, and 5 leading up to Rogue One in 3 episode blocks? Why did that serve the story and his journey best?
I wish I had a cool answer for that, but I don't. We didn't want this to end up being an animated series, and I am who I am, and Tony Gilroy has to be the writer of this, and we cannot be doing this for 10 years. Doing one season takes basically. The first season took 4 years. The second will take a little less, but you have to think he has to write 12 episodes. Then we have to go on pre-production. That normally takes 6 to 8 months, to build these places and to start with the whole process of designing, casting. Then the execution is another 7-8 months, and then post-production starts, and that's not easy either, so it's a long journey. Each season takes 3-4 years of my life and of Tony Gilroy's life, so if you obviously at the beginning we said it'll be great to do 5 seasons. This was before COVID, long ago, but once we started and we decided it was going to be this story this way, it was pretty clear that it would have been impossible to do 5 seasons of this. So Tony came with this amazing idea because we were already breaking it in blocks, in 4 blocks, 4 blocks of 3 episodes. That's how we shoot. So each director gets 3 episodes and shoots that as a movie in a way, So Tony said well, if we're missing 4 years and we have 4 episodes, it could be perfect because it's going to be like movies that would have a beginning and an end, Each year will have a beginning and an end, and it would be a chapter of 3 episodes.
If you guys deem that the best possible route, I trust you. I'm greedy and I want to see you in this role forever. I know it's not possible.
It's not possible. But you know what? It's not because of us. It's because of Rogue One. Rogue One said I also have to look close enough to Rogue One, So can you imagine me in 10 years pretending to be the one I was 20 years ago? Just impossible. Sadly, there's no machines or CGI that can do that.
You can do anything. What are you talking about? We have to wrap. I have so many more questions. I'm glad we get to talk again later because then I can repurpose these. Congratulations. Yeah. Huge, huge, huge congratulations on this very special show and also your CCA nomination, which is very well deserved.
Oh, thank you very much.